When the pain comes, it does not knock gently. It arrives without warning, without mercy, without apology. It settles into your bones, your muscles, your joints, as though it has always lived there and intends to stay forever. And in those moments, when the ache is relentless and the body feels like a prison you cannot escape, the mind begins to speak. It whispers the cruelest words a human being can hear. This is permanent. This is who you are now. This will never change. But what if that voice is lying to you? What if the pain you carry is not a sentence handed down by fate, but an echo of something far more personal, far more reversible? What if your body, in all its suffering, is simply obeying a law you did not know you were enforcing? And what if tonight, in this very moment, you could begin to speak a new law into the deepest chambers of your being and watch the body rise to obey it? Dr. Joseph Murphy spent a lifetime studying the relationship between the mind and the body. He did not speak in theories. He spoke in cases, in lives transformed, in healings that medicine had declared impossible. And again, he returned to the same truth. The body does not decide its own condition. The subconscious mind decides it. And the subconscious mind listens to you. Every word you speak about your body is a command. Every thought you repeat about your pain is an instruction. Every time you say, "I am sick, I am broken, I will never heal," you are not describing your condition. You are legislating it. You are handing the deepest part of your mind a blueprint, and your body, faithful and obedient, builds exactly what the blueprint demands. This is not wishful thinking. This is law, and tonight, you are going to learn how to use it. There was a woman who came to Dr. Murphy after years of suffering with debilitating joint pain. She had visited doctor after doctor. She had taken medication that dulled the edges but never reached the root. She had learned, over years of suffering, to speak about her body in one language only, the language of defeat. She would say to anyone who would listen, "My body is falling apart. I wake up broken every morning. Nothing will ever fix this." And her subconscious, the most loyal servant she had ever possessed, heard every word and carried every instruction out with absolute precision. It maintained the pain. It reinforced the stiffness. It built the prison brick by brick from the materials she supplied. When she sat before Dr. Murphy, he did not offer her sympathy alone. He offered her the law. He told her, "You have been speaking to your subconscious in the language of destruction. Tonight, you will learn to speak to it in the language of restoration." She was skeptical, but she was also desperate, and desperation, when properly directed, becomes the most powerful fuel for transformation that exists. He gave her an affirmation, simple words, spoken with feeling, repeated with persistence. And he told her, "Do not say these words as a wish, say them as a decree." The difference between a wish and a decree is the difference between a beggar and a king. Your subconscious does not respond to begging. It responds to authority. Speak with authority, and it will obey with precision. She went home and she spoke the words, not once, not twice, but every morning before her feet touched the floor, every evening before sleep took her. Every time pain rose to argue, she answered it with the decree. Weeks passed. Then something shifted. The stiffness in her hands softened. The ache in her knees quieted. The body, that faithful and obedient servant, had begun to follow the new instruction. What changed? Not her circumstances, not her medication, not her environment. Only the command she was giving to the deepest part of her mind. And the subconscious, impartial as always, expressed exactly what had been impressed upon it. This is the secret that Dr. Joseph Murphy devoted his life to revealing. The subconscious mind governs the body completely. It regulates every heartbeat, every breath, every act of cellular repair that happens while you sleep. It does not need your conscious instruction to knit a wound or fight an infection. It already knows how to heal. It has always known. The question is not whether your body has the capacity for healing. It does. The question is whether you are giving it permission. When you speak fear over your body, you withdraw that permission. When you rehearse pain, you instruct the subconscious to maintain it. When you accept a diagnosis as your identity and carry it in your mouth like a name, You impress it upon the subconscious with the full force of emotional conviction, and the subconscious, obedient and exact, makes it the law of your flesh. But the moment you speak healing, something shifts beneath the surface. The moment you declare with genuine feeling, "I am whole, I am strong, the healing presence of God moves through me now," you hand the subconscious a new blueprint. And it does not argue. It does not compare the new blueprint to the old one and decide which is more realistic. It accepts the dominant impression and builds accordingly. This is why conviction matters more than repetition alone. You can repeat affirmations 1,000 times in a hollow, doubtful voice and barely scratch the surface of the subconscious. But speak the same words once with deep feeling, with genuine expectancy, with the calm authority of someone who understands the law, and you plant a seed that the subconscious cannot ignore. Dr. Murphy often spoke of a man who suffered from chronic back pain so severe that some mornings he could not rise from his bed. This man was intelligent, educated, accomplished in many areas of his life. But in the area of his health, he was governed entirely by fear. He would lie in his bed in the morning, and before he even attempted to move, he would mentally rehearse the pain. He would anticipate the stiffness, dread the first attempt to stand, and whisper to himself, "Here it comes again, it will be bad today." And his subconscious, receiving that instruction in the fertile moments of early morning when the conscious guard was barely raised, would faithfully prepare the body for exactly the experience he expected. Dr. Murphy told him, "You are commanding your body before you even open your eyes. The subconscious is already working by the time you wake. Whatever you impress in those first moments of consciousness plants itself with extraordinary depth. So instead of rehearsing the pain you fear, rehearse the strength you desire. Before you move, before you speak, lie still and decree, 'My back is strong. The healing presence of God flows through every vertebra, every muscle, every nerve. I rise in strength and freedom. I am whole.'" The man was resistant at first. It seemed too simple, too disconnected from the severity of what he felt. But Murphy pressed him. "The law is not complicated," he said. "It is the doubt that complicates it. Simplify your belief, and the law will simplify your suffering." The man practiced. Every morning, before movement, before thought could be hijacked by anticipation of pain, he spoke the decree. He imagined himself rising easily, moving freely, walking without the shadow of dread that had followed him for years. He visualized his spine straight and strong, bathed in light, functioning in harmony, and slowly, undeniably, his mornings began to change. The pain did not vanish overnight, but the subconscious had received the new instruction and had begun its work. Week by week, the mornings grew lighter. The stiffness softened. The man who had dreaded sunrise began to wake with something he had nearly forgotten: hope. And hope, properly held, is itself a healing force. Now hear this truth and let it settle into you. Pain speaks loudly, but the subconscious speaks deeper. Pain can shout from the surface of your experience, can dominate your attention, can fill every waking moment with its presence. But beneath all of that noise, the subconscious is listening for the voice of conviction, and conviction always wins, not immediately, not always dramatically, but inevitably and without exception. What you impress upon the subconscious with deep feeling and persistent faith will be expressed in your body. Say this now. Say it not as a reader reciting words from a page, but as a sovereign issuing a decree to a faithful kingdom. My body is the temple of the living God. Every cell within me is alive with divine vitality. The healing presence flows through me now, cleansing, restoring, renewing. I am not broken. I am not finished. I am whole, strong, and free. Say it and mean it. Say it and feel it. Say it until the feeling precedes the words. There is something Dr. Murphy understood about the moments before sleep that most people waste entirely. The subconscious is most receptive in two windows of time: the period just after waking and the period just before sleep. In these moments, the analytical mind relaxes its grip. The filter between the conscious and the subconscious thins. Whatever you impress in these windows sinks not to the surface, but to the deepest roots of the subconscious mind, where it takes hold with extraordinary force. Most people who suffer with physical pain go to bed rehearsing it. They lie in the dark and take inventory. They catalogue every ache, revisit every throb, wonder how tomorrow will feel, and drift into sleep with the full weight of illness as their final conscious thought. The subconscious receives this as its nightly instruction. And through the hours of sleep, while the body should be in its deepest state of restoration, the subconscious instead maintains the decree it was handed: more of the same, hold the pain, sustain the weakness, prepare for another morning of suffering. But imagine going to sleep differently. Imagine lying down and whispering to the subconscious, "Every cell of my body is being renewed as I sleep. The healing presence of God moves through me through the night, restoring every organ, soothing every nerve, strengthening every fiber of my being. I will awaken whole. I will awaken strong. I will awaken free." Imagine feeling those words, not straining toward them, not fighting doubt, but resting into them the way you rest into a warm and certain peace. The subconscious receives that as its instruction for the night, and while you sleep, it labors. It has always been laboring. The question is only what you have told it to build. A young woman once came to Dr. Murphy with a condition that had resisted every treatment her doctors had attempted. Her body was inflamed, reactive, exhausted. She was in her early 30s but felt, she said, like she was dissolving. She had begun to speak about her body with profound hopelessness. She would say, "My body is attacking itself. My body has turned against me. My body is my enemy." Murphy listened, and then he said to her, very gently, but with great firmness, "Every word you have spoken is a command your subconscious has faithfully executed. You have told it your body is an enemy. You have told it there is war within you. And the subconscious, loyal to your decree, has sustained that war. Now you must speak peace." He gave her a simple practice. Each morning and each evening, she was to place her hands over her heart and speak aloud, "My body is my faithful friend and ally. Every cell works in harmony and cooperation. Peace flows through me like a river. My immune system is wise, balanced, and whole. The life of God within me heals everything it touches." She felt foolish at first. The gap between what she felt and what she was saying seemed vast and almost mocking. But Murphy had anticipated this. He told her, "The gap you feel between the affirmation and the reality is not a sign that the law is failing. It is simply the distance the seed must travel to reach the soil. Keep planting. The soil will receive it. The harvest will come." She kept planting. And 3 months later she returned to his office with something new in her face. Not just relief. Recognition. She had seen the law work. She had watched her body shift in response to the new command she had been giving it. Her inflammation had reduced. Her energy had returned. Her body, which she had called her enemy, had revealed itself as the faithful servant it had always been, waiting only for a master who would speak the language of healing rather than the language of war. This is what Dr. Murphy wanted every suffering human being to understand. Your body is not betraying you. It is obeying you. It has always been obeying you. When it carries pain, it is carrying the impression you have given it. When it holds illness, it is holding the decree you have spoken over it with the full force of your fear and your belief. And when you change the decree, when you speak wholeness with the same conviction with which you once spoke sickness, the body must change with it. The law is exact. The law is impartial. The law does not make exceptions and it does not fail. Say it now with your full heart behind every word. The healing power of God is active in me right now. My body knows how to heal and it is healing now. Every organ, every system, every cell is moving toward wholeness. Pain has no permanent authority over me. Sickness has no final word in my life. I am created for health. I am designed for wholeness. And the infinite intelligence within me is restoring me completely. Feel those words. Do not let them pass through you like water through open hands. Close your hands around them. Hold them in the center of your chest where feeling lives, because feeling is the language the subconscious understands most fluently. Words alone are seeds on pavement, but words soaked in genuine feeling are seeds planted in the richest soil imaginable. The subconscious will grow them. It cannot do otherwise. It is the nature of the law. Dr. Murphy wrote of a man who had suffered with a painful skin condition for over a decade. He had tried every remedy available and had arrived at the conclusion that was the most dangerous conclusion a suffering person can arrive at. He had decided his condition was simply who he was now. He had folded it into his identity. He introduced himself, in conversation and in his own private thoughts, as a man with this disease, as a man whose skin would never be clear, as someone for whom normal physical comfort was simply not available. Murphy explained to him with great patience and great care that the most powerful command you can give the subconscious is the one that comes attached to identity. When you say "I am," you are not describing yourself. You are decreeing yourself. The subconscious hears "I am" as the highest law, the most binding instruction, the clearest blueprint. Whatever follows "I am" becomes, in the architecture of the subconscious, the structure of your reality. If you say "I am sick," you are not reporting a condition, you are legislating one. The man sat very quietly when he heard this. Then he asked, "What should I say instead?" Murphy answered, "Say, I am whole, I am clean, I am free. Say, I am the expression of divine health. Say, I am renewed in every cell by the infinite healing presence." Say it until you believe it, and then say it until the belief becomes deeper than any doubt you have ever held. The man went home and he began. It was not easy. The mind resisted. The habit of identity is the strongest habit human beings form. But he was persistent. And persistence with the law is not stubbornness, it is wisdom. It is the farmer who does not dig up the seed but waters it daily and trusts the process with unshakable calm. Week after week the man spoke his new identity over himself. "I am whole, I am clean, I am free." And the subconscious, receiving the new impression day after day with increasing depth and conviction, began to redirect the body's resources. The condition began to clear, slowly at first and then with a momentum that surprised even the man himself. Within months his skin was clear, his identity had changed and his body had followed. There is no separation between what you believe about yourself and what your body expresses. They are not parallel tracks running beside each other. They are the same track. The belief is the body. The impression is the expression. Change one and you inevitably, inexorably change the other. If your body hurts today, if pain is your constant companion, if you have carried illness so long that you have begun to think of it as yours, hear this truth as the most important thing you will hear today. It is not yours. Pain is a visitor. Sickness is a condition, not an identity. And you have the power, through the law that governs your subconscious mind, to speak a new decree so deeply and so persistently that the body must rise and obey it. Begin tonight. Not tomorrow, not when the pain decreases, not when you feel more certain. Tonight, in whatever state you are in, with whatever doubts still linger, begin to speak the new law over your body. Say this. Say it slowly and mean every syllable. I release every word of sickness I have ever spoken over myself. I withdraw every decree of weakness, every command of pain, every sentence of hopelessness I have ever handed to my subconscious. In their place, I plant this truth. I am whole. I am strong. I am filled with the infinite healing presence of God. My body responds to this truth now. Every cell, every organ, every nerve, every fiber rises to meet this decree. The healing that my body has always been capable of is flowing through me now, fully, freely, and completely. I am not broken. I was never broken. I am being restored to the wholeness that is my divine inheritance. Write those words down. Write them on paper and keep them where your eyes will find them, first in the morning and last at night. Speak them aloud because the spoken word carries a vibration that the written word alone does not. The subconscious responds to the voice. It responds to feeling carried on sound. When you speak your affirmation aloud with conviction, you are not merely thinking a thought. You are issuing a command that travels through the body even as you speak it. Every cell hears the word spoken in faith. Every system of the body receives the instruction, and the subconscious, the faithful executive of your convictions, begins to carry it out. Murphy would often say that the prayer that heals is not the prayer that begs. Begging implies that healing is in question, that it must be convinced or persuaded to arrive. But healing is not something that needs convincing. It is already the nature of your body. Your body was designed to heal. It heals constantly without your awareness, without your permission, without your praise. What blocks the healing is not an absence of power, but an abundance of contrary instruction. Remove the contrary instruction, and the healing resumes. This is why affirmation is not about adding something new to the body. It is about removing the obstruction. Every time you speak fear over your body, you obstruct the natural flow of healing intelligence. Every time you speak faith, you remove a stone from the stream and the water flows again. Speak enough faith with enough persistence and enough genuine feeling, and the stream becomes a river. And the river becomes a flood of restoration that nothing in your body can resist. Say it one final time tonight. Say it as your decree, your law, your unshakable conviction. The healing presence of God flows through every cell of my body right now. My body is strong. My body is whole. My body is free. Pain has no dominion over me. Sickness has no authority in my life. I am the expression of divine health, divine strength, divine vitality. Every morning I rise renewed. Every night I sleep in peace. My subconscious receives this truth now, and my body obeys it completely. I am healed. I am whole. I am free. This is the law that Dr. Joseph Murphy spent his lifetime teaching. Not theory, not philosophy, law. As exact as mathematics, as impartial as gravity, as faithful as sunrise. What you impress upon the subconscious with conviction and feeling will be expressed in your body without fail. The only question that remains is the question only you can answer. What will you impress tonight? Choose healing. Choose wholeness. Choose the words that plant life instead of sickness, faith instead of fear, restoration instead of ruin. Speak them over yourself with the full authority of someone who understands that their body is listening, their subconscious is waiting, and the law is ready to work the moment you give it the right command. Your body is not your enemy. It is your most faithful servant. And it is waiting, right now, for a master who will finally speak to it in the language of healing. Speak that language tonight, and watch what the law does. 1:33 p.m. Do not stop now. Do not let the doubt that rises in the quiet moments convince you that what you have just heard is too simple, too gentle, too removed from the severity of what you feel. The greatest lie that pain tells is that it is too powerful to be spoken away, that it has roots too deep for words to reach. That faith is for minor discomforts and small inconveniences, but not for what you carry, not for the kind of suffering that has lasted months or years. Not for the kind of pain that has already defeated every other attempt at relief. That lie is the final defense of the old decree, and you must refuse it, Dr. Joseph Murphy understood that the moment a person comes closest to breakthrough is often the moment resistance feels strongest. The subconscious has held a pattern for a long time, and patterns do not dissolve quietly. They argue. They produce doubt. They manufacture evidence. They point to the unchanged symptoms and whisper, "You see, nothing is working, nothing will ever work, stop pretending." And the untrained mind hears that whisper and mistakes it for wisdom. It mistakes resistance for reality. It stops planting the seed the moment the harvest is nearest. Do not make that mistake tonight. When doubt rises, do not fight it. Do not argue with it. Do not give it the dignity of a prolonged battle. Simply return to the decree. Simply speak the law again. I am whole, I am strong. The healing presence of God moves through me now. Every time you return to the affirmation in the face of doubt, you are not losing ground. You are gaining it. You are pressing the seed deeper into the soil of the subconscious. And the deeper the seed, the stronger the root. And the stronger the root, the more inevitable the harvest. There was a man Dr. Murphy encountered who had suffered with severe nerve pain for 7 years. 7 years of burning and numbness, and the particular exhaustion that comes not just from pain itself, but from the relentless effort of living alongside it. He had tried everything available to him and had arrived at Murphy's teaching as a last resort. He said, "I do not fully believe this will work, but I have nothing left to try." Murphy told him something that surprised him. He said, "Your partial belief is enough to begin. You do not need perfect faith on the first day. You need only enough willingness to plant the first seed. The subconscious does not demand certainty from you before it begins to respond. It demands only a genuine impression. Give it one honest, feeling-filled affirmation and the law begins to move. Certainty comes later. It comes as the fruit of persistence. You will believe more deeply in 30 days than you do tonight, and in 60 days more deeply still. Each small evidence of the law working builds the conviction, allows the law to work more powerfully. Begin where you are. The beginning is enough. The man began where he was. With imperfect faith and immense desperation, he began to speak to his body differently. Every morning he would sit quietly before the demands of the day could crowd in, and he would place his awareness on the areas of his body where the pain lived, not to dwell on the pain, not to rehearse it, but to speak directly to those places with authority. He would say, "The nerve pathways in my body carry only the signals of health and harmony. The life of God flows through every nerve, calming, restoring, and renewing. My nervous system is whole. My body is at peace." And he would hold the feeling of that peace in his chest for as long as he could sustain it, even if it was only 30 seconds, even if doubt crept in at the edges. He did this every morning and every evening for 40 days. On the 41st morning he woke up and something was different, not gone entirely, not dramatically vanished overnight, but quieter, as though the volume of the pain had been turned down by a hand he could not see. He wept that morning, not from suffering but from recognition. He had felt the law move. He had witnessed the subconscious respond to a new instruction. And that single experience of the law, that one undeniable shift, gave him a depth of conviction that no amount of reading or listening could have produced. He pressed deeper into the practice. He refined his affirmations. He brought more feeling, more authority, more genuine expectancy to every decree. And over the following months, the pain continued to quiet until it was no longer the defining feature of his daily existence. He did not call it a miracle. He called it obedience. The subconscious had obeyed the new law once the new law had been impressed with sufficient depth and persistence. This is what you must understand about the timeline of healing. The subconscious does not operate on your schedule. It does not receive a command on Monday and produce full results by Wednesday. It works according to a deeper rhythm, according to the accumulated weight of impression over time. This is why persistence is not optional. It is the mechanism itself. The affirmation you speak tonight is not the entire process. It is the first stroke of the chisel. And tomorrow morning's affirmation is the second stroke, and the evening affirmation the third. And each stroke cuts deeper than the last because the subconscious is a medium that responds to repetition the way stone responds to water. Not immediately, not dramatically, but inevitably and without the possibility of resistance once the impression has reached sufficient depth. So do not measure your progress by tomorrow. Do not even measure it by next week. Plant the seed tonight and water it faithfully. Trust the law the way a farmer trusts the soil. The farmer does not stand over the ground demanding to see the sprout an hour after planting. He trusts what he cannot see because he understands the nature of the process. You must develop the same trust. Not blind trust. Not the trust of someone who has never seen the law work, but the informed trust of someone who understands the mechanism and is willing to work with it rather than against it. Because here is the truth about doubt. Doubt is simply an old affirmation still echoing in the subconscious. When you feel doubt about your healing, you are not encountering the voice of reality. You are encountering the voice of the previous decree. You spent months or years impressing pain, impressing weakness, impressing hopelessness upon your subconscious. And those impressions do not vanish the moment you speak a new affirmation. They linger. They argue. They produce the feeling of doubt that feels so convincing, so grounded, so much more real than the new words you are speaking. But they are only old seeds producing the last of their harvest. Beneath them, the new seeds are already growing, and the new harvest will eventually overtake the old one completely if you do not stop planting. Never stop planting, Dr. Murphy spoke of a woman in her 60s who had carried arthritis in her hands for over a decade. Her fingers had become stiff and painful, her mornings difficult, her simplest tasks labored. She had accepted it as the inevitable consequence of age, as the body's natural surrender to time. And Murphy listened to her speak about her hands with such resigned familiarity, such settled defeat. And he recognized immediately the true source of her suffering. It was not age, it was agreement. She had agreed with the pain. She had signed her name to its permanence and handed the agreement to her subconscious, which had, as always, honored the contract precisely. He asked her to do something that felt almost absurd to her. He asked her to look at her hands, her painful, stiffened, aged hands, and to speak to them with love, not with pity, not with the weary tolerance of someone managing an inconvenience, but with genuine love and with authority. He asked her to say, "My hands are strong and supple. The life of God flows through every joint, every bone, every finger. My hands move freely and without pain. They are whole, they are beautiful, they are filled with divine vitality." She felt ridiculous, she said so. And Murphy smiled and said, "Feel ridiculous and say it anyway. The subconscious does not require your dignity. It requires your conviction. And conviction can grow even from a ridiculous beginning." She said it, feeling somewhat foolish, somewhat hopeful, and deeply uncertain. She said it that evening, and the next morning, and the evening after that. She said it when her hands ached. She said it when the doubt told her she was wasting her time. She said it until something in her shifted from performance to genuine belief, until the words stopped feeling like a lie she was telling herself and started feeling like a truth she was remembering. And her hands responded. Gradually, undeniably, her hands responded. The stiffness that had seemed as permanent as the bones themselves began to ease. The mornings became less brutal. The tasks became less labored. The hands that she had written off as the casualties of age revealed themselves as the faithful servants they had always been, waiting only for a master who would speak life over them instead of surrender. This is the pattern Murphy witnessed again and again across decades of teaching and counseling. Not every healing was instant. Not every case resolved in the same time frame. But every person who gave the subconscious a new command with genuine feeling and genuine persistence and refused to abandon the practice when doubt argued loudest, every single one of them experienced the law working in their body. Because the law cannot fail. It is not capable of failure. It is only capable of expressing what it receives. Give it health, and health is what it must express. Your subconscious right now, in this moment, is listening. It is not waiting for a special occasion. It is not waiting for you to feel worthy or certain or free of doubt. It is waiting for a command. It has always been waiting for a command. And for too long the command it has been receiving has been written in the language of pain and fear and resignation. Tonight that changes. Tonight you speak a new language, and you speak it with authority. Say this now and feel every word as you speak it. I speak to every cell of my body and I decree wholeness. I speak to every organ and I decree perfect function. I speak to every nerve and I decree peace and harmony. I speak to every bone, every muscle, every fiber of my being, and I say, you are whole. You are strong. You are filled with the life of God. Pain has served its purpose, and now it releases its hold. Sickness has delivered its message, and now it dissolves in the light of divine healing. My body rises to meet this decree because the law of my subconscious demands it. What I impress is expressed, and I impress healing now, completely, permanently, and without reservation. Write those words, not in your mind alone, but on paper. There is something about the act of writing an affirmation that carries a particular power. When you write the words, you engage more of your attention, more of your focus, more of your feeling than when you merely think them. The subconscious receives the impression with greater depth when the whole person is involved in delivering it. Write the affirmation and then read it aloud. Then close your eyes and feel it. Feel what it would feel like to live in a body that is fully whole. Feel the freedom of movement without pain. Feel the ease of a morning without dread. Feel the simple, extraordinary gift of a body that functions in harmony and strength. Hold that feeling for as long as you can, because that feeling is the water that makes the seed grow. Murphy taught that imagination and feeling working together are the most powerful forces available to a human being seeking healing. Not imagination alone, which can remain abstract and distant. Not feeling alone, which without direction can be overwhelmed by present pain. But imagination and feeling together, the vivid picture of wholeness held in the mind and soaked in genuine emotion. This is what pierces to the deepest level of the subconscious and plants itself with a force that no amount of doubt can easily dislodge. See yourself healed. See it clearly and specifically. Do not imagine a vague and general wellness. Imagine the specific freedom you desire. If your back has been the source of suffering, see yourself bending easily, standing straight, moving through your day without the shadow of anticipated pain. If your joints have been the prison, see your hands moving freely, your knees carrying you without complaint, your body expressing the ease and fluency it was designed for. Make the image vivid. Make it real. Step into it completely and feel it as though it were already true. Because in the subconscious, the vividly imagined and the genuinely real are indistinguishable. The subconscious does not know you are imagining. It accepts the image as instruction, and it builds toward it with everything it has. This is the final truth, Doctor. Joseph Murphy wanted every person in pain to carry with them into every morning and every night. Your body is not the authority. Your diagnosis is not the authority. Your history of suffering is not the authority. The subconscious is the authority, and the subconscious obeys you. It has always obeyed you. It will always obey you. The only question that has ever mattered is what you choose to tell it. Tell it healing. Tell it wholeness. Tell it strength. Tell it freedom. Tell it with your voice and your feeling and your imagination and your persistence. Tell it every morning before the world can crowd in. Tell it every evening before sleep carries you into the deep hours where the subconscious works without interruption. Tell it when doubt rises. Tell it when pain argues. Tell it when the old decree tries to reclaim its throne. Answer every argument with the law. Answer every doubt with the decree. Answer every symptom with the affirmation of what is true at a level deeper than symptoms can reach. I am whole. I am strong. I am healed by the infinite healing presence that dwells within me. This is my body's law tonight. This is my subconscious command. This is my decree. And the law that governs all things will carry it out with the same precision and the same faithfulness with which it has always carried out every impression ever given to it. What is impressed is expressed. Tonight you have impressed healing, and your body, that faithful and tireless servant, has already begun to obey. Do not close this window yet. Do not move on to the next thing your day is demanding of you. Stay here for just a moment longer, because what comes next is perhaps the most important thing Dr. Joseph Murphy ever taught about the body and its relationship to the mind. It is the piece that most people miss. The piece that explains why some people speak affirmations for weeks and feel nothing shift. Why some people pray with genuine desire and still wake up to the same pain. Why the law seems to work effortlessly for some and remains stubbornly silent for others. The answer is not effort. It is not worthiness. It is not the particular words chosen or the time of day they are spoken. The answer is this. There is a hidden conversation happening beneath the affirmation. A conversation most people never examine. And until that conversation changes, the surface words, no matter how beautiful, no matter how persistently repeated, will struggle to reach the depth where healing is commanded. That hidden conversation is the one you have with yourself about yourself when no one is listening. Not the affirmation you speak with intention and awareness, but the casual, constant, largely unconscious commentary that runs beneath every waking hour. The muttered assessment of how you feel when you shift in your chair. The silent verdict you deliver when you catch your reflection. The unexamined assumption that greets you before your eyes are fully open in the morning. These are not neutral observations. They are commands. And they are being delivered to the subconscious with a directness and a frequency that the most dedicated affirmation practice will struggle to overcome if the hidden conversation remains unchanged. Dr. Murphy was deeply attentive to this. He would sit with a person who had been practicing affirmations faithfully for weeks with minimal results, and he would ask them not about their formal practice, but about their casual speech. What do you say to yourself when you stand up from a chair and feel the pain? What do you whisper under your breath when the medication does not work? What is the running commentary in your mind as you move through an ordinary day in a body that hurts? And almost without exception, the person would pause and then slowly begin to reveal the hidden conversation. Things like, "Here we go again. I knew today would be bad. Why does this never get better? My body is so unreliable. I hate feeling this way. I am so tired of this. I cannot keep living like this." Murphy would listen, and then he would say quietly, "Those words are your real affirmations. Those are the commands your subconscious is receiving most consistently and most deeply. Because they come without guard, without the slight self-consciousness that sometimes accompanies formal practice. They come raw and feeling, soaked, and the subconscious drinks them in with absolute readiness. Your formal affirmations are seeds planted with care. But your hidden conversation is a storm that uproots them before they can take hold. This is not said to discourage you. It is said to liberate you. Because the moment you understand that the hidden conversation is the real point of power, you gain access to a level of healing influence that goes far beyond any scheduled practice. You gain the ability to transform the entire atmosphere of your inner world. Not just the 2 or 3 minutes of formal affirmation morning and night, but the continuous stream of impression flowing into your subconscious throughout every hour of every day. Shift that stream and you shift everything. Begin by simply noticing. For one full day, without judgment, without criticism of yourself, simply notice the hidden conversation. Notice what you say to your body when it hurts. Notice the assumptions you carry about your health, about your future, about whether healing is genuinely available to you. Do not fight what you notice. Simply see it. Because the moment you see it clearly, you have already begun to loosen its grip. The unconscious command loses half its power the moment it becomes conscious. It can no longer operate beneath your awareness because you have brought it into the light. And then, gently and persistently, begin to change it. Not in a strained or effortful way, not with the tense vigilance of someone monitoring every thought, but with the calm authority of someone who understands the law and is choosing to work with it at every available moment. When the old commentary rises, when "here we go again" forms itself in your mind, pause and replace it. Not with a long formal affirmation, but with a single quiet decree, "I am whole," or simply, "Healing is flowing through me now." Or even more simply, "Thank you for the healing already underway." That last one is worth dwelling on. Gratitude as a healing force is something Dr. Murphy returned to repeatedly, and it is something that most people profoundly underestimate. Gratitude spoken in advance, gratitude offered for healing that has not yet fully manifested in the physical, is one of the most powerful impressions you can give the subconscious. Because gratitude is the emotional state of someone who has already received. And the subconscious, which cannot distinguish between the vividly imagined and the physically real, receives that emotional state as evidence that the healing is accomplished fact. It accepts the gratitude as confirmation, and it accelerates its work to match the reality the gratitude implies. This is not pretending. This is not dishonest optimism that ignores the reality of your suffering. You can acknowledge the pain fully. You can be honest about what your body is experiencing, while simultaneously holding gratitude for the healing that the law has already set in motion the moment you gave the subconscious a new command. The pain and the gratitude can coexist, and over time, as the gratitude deepens and the subconscious receives it more completely, the pain has less and less room to occupy. Say this now and feel the gratitude in it as you speak. Thank you for the healing flowing through me right now. Thank you for every cell in my body that is working toward wholeness in this moment. Thank you for the infinite intelligence within me that knows exactly how to restore every system, every organ, every function to perfect harmony. Thank you that the law is working even now, even as I speak, even before I can see the full result. I am grateful for my healing. I receive it completely and I give thanks for it fully. Feel that. Not as performance, but as genuine recognition of a genuine truth. The law is working. The moment you gave your subconscious a new command, the law began to work. The seed is in the ground. The process is underway. And gratitude is the sunlight that accelerates what is already growing. There was a woman doctor, Murphy wrote about, who had been told her condition was degenerative, that it would worsen with time, and that the most she could hope for was to manage its progression rather than reverse it. She absorbed that verdict deeply, and it became the foundation of her inner world. Every day she lived inside the expectation of worsening. Every new symptom confirmed the prophecy. Every morning was measured against the fear of decline. And the subconscious, receiving decline as the dominant impression of her inner world, expressed it faithfully in her body. When she came to Murphy, she was not looking for healing. She had stopped believing healing was possible for her. She was looking, she said, simply for peace, for some way to carry what she carried with less suffering of spirit, if not of body. Murphy told her, "I will give you peace, but I will give you more than peace. I will give you the law. And the law, once you understand it and apply it, will give you more than you are currently asking for." She was skeptical, but she was also exhausted by her own resignation. She had nothing to lose by trying. He gave her a practice centered entirely on gratitude and imagination combined. Each morning she was to spend 5 minutes in a state of thankfulness for her body as it was, not as she wished it to be, but as it was right now. With all its limitations and all its pain, she was to find genuine reasons to be grateful. The heart that was still beating, the lungs that were still breathing, the eyes that could still see the morning light, the simple, extraordinary persistence of life within her despite everything. She was to feel genuine gratitude for these things. Real gratitude, not performed gratitude. And then, from that state of genuine gratitude, she was to extend her imagination forward. Still in the warm atmosphere of thankfulness, she was to picture her body moving toward greater wholeness. Not demanding it, not desperately reaching for it, but seeing it with the calm certainty of someone who has already given thanks for it. She would hold that image for 5 minutes each morning, soaked in gratitude, feeling the reality of it as fully as she could, and then release it. Simply let it go. The way you release a prayer, once it has been fully spoken, trusting it to the law without clutching at the result. She did this for 60 days. At the end of 60 days she returned to Murphy, and what she reported was not the dramatic overnight reversal that stories sometimes promise. It was something quieter and in many ways more profound. She said, "I feel different inside. The fear is gone. The dread that used to greet every morning has been replaced by something I can only describe as a settled trust. My body still has its challenges, but I no longer experience them as a verdict. I experience them as something passing through, something the law is already addressing. And physically, yes, there had been measurable improvement. Not complete resolution. Not yet, but undeniable movement in the direction of healing. Her doctors noted it. They attributed it to various external factors. But she knew what had changed. The impression had changed. The subconscious had received a new command and had begun its work. The harvest was coming. She could feel it the way a farmer feels the season turning before the first visible sign of spring appears in the ground. Murphy often used that image. The turning of a season. He would say, "You cannot rush the season. You cannot command spring to arrive in the depths of winter by arguing with the cold. But you can plant in faith, knowing that the season will turn, that the law of growth is working beneath the frozen surface, that what has been planted will rise. Your only work is to keep the ground prepared, to keep planting, to keep watering, to keep speaking the language of healing into the soil of your subconscious, and to trust the process with the calm confidence of someone who has understood the law deeply enough to know that it cannot fail." There is also something Murphy taught about the role of forgiveness in physical healing that must not be passed over, because it is perhaps the most uncomfortable truth in all of his teaching. And it is this: Many of the physical conditions that resist every other form of treatment are being sustained not by physical causes alone, but by emotional ones. By resentments carried so long they have become structural. By guilt so deeply held it has written itself into the chemistry of the body. By old wounds of the heart that were never properly closed and have been leaking their infection into the physical system for years or decades. The subconscious does not separate the emotional from the physical. To the subconscious, they are the same substance expressed in different forms. Emotional pain is physical instruction. The resentment you carry towards someone who hurt you 10 years ago is not merely a psychological burden. It is a daily command to your subconscious to maintain the physiological state that resentment produces. Tightened muscles, compromised circulation, elevated stress chemistry, suppressed healing responses. The body holds what the mind has not released, and the subconscious faithfully maintains the holding until a new command is given. This is why Murphy would sometimes ask a person in physical pain not about their symptoms but about their relationships, about who they had not forgiven, about what guilt they were carrying, about what old wound was still open beneath the surface of their daily life. Not because he was dismissing the physical reality of their condition, but because he understood that the physical reality and the emotional reality are expressions of the same subconscious instruction. Heal the instruction and both can heal together. If there is someone you have not forgiven, that unforgiveness is costing you more than peace of mind. It is costing you physical health. It is a command your subconscious is executing in your body right now. And the most powerful thing you can do for your physical healing, alongside every affirmation and every visualization, is to speak forgiveness. Not for the sake of the person who hurt you, for your own sake. For the sake of the body that is carrying the weight of the unforgiveness in its cells and its chemistry and its pain. Say this if there is anyone you need to release. I fully and freely forgive everyone who has ever hurt me. I release them completely. I hold no resentment, no bitterness, no claim against anyone. They are free and I am free. Divine love flows through me and dissolves everything unlike itself. I am at peace with every person in my past and my present, and in releasing them I release my body from the burden of carrying what was never mine to carry permanently. I am free. I am whole. I am healed. And if there is guilt you carry toward yourself, if there are things you have done or failed to do that you have never fully released, speak this. I forgive myself completely and without reservation. I am not defined by my mistakes. I am not sentenced by my past. The infinite intelligence within me knows only the present moment, and in this present moment I am whole, I am loved, and I am free. I release myself from every self-imposed sentence. I am forgiven, I am free, and my body responds to this freedom with healing. Feel the weight of that? Feel what it would mean to actually put down what you have been carrying. Because the subconscious feels it too. And when it receives the impression of genuine release, of genuine forgiveness, of genuine freedom from the burden of old pain, it redirects the energy that was maintaining that burden toward restoration instead. The body softens, the chemistry shifts, the healing that was being obstructed by the holding begins to flow again. This is the full picture of what Dr. Joseph Murphy was teaching. Not just affirmations as isolated techniques, but a complete transformation of the inner world. The hidden conversation brought into the light and changed, the gratitude that accelerates the law, the forgiveness that removes the obstruction, the imagination and feeling that impress the subconscious at its deepest level, the persistence that refuses to uproot the seed before the harvest, all of it working together as a single unified practice, all of it serving the same purpose, giving the subconscious a new command and trusting the law to carry it out. Your body is listening to every word of this. Your subconscious is receiving every impression this moment is creating. And the law is already moving in the direction of the healing you have been speaking over yourself tonight. Do not waste this moment by returning immediately to the old conversation. Carry what you have received here into the hours ahead. Let it change the way you speak to your body when you rise from where you are sitting. Let it change the first words you speak tomorrow morning. Let it change the last impression you give your subconscious tonight before sleep takes you. Whisper this as you close your eyes. The healing presence of God has been working in me throughout this entire time. Every word of healing I have spoken has been received. Every image of wholeness I have held has been impressed. The law is faithful. The seed is planted. And I sleep now in the perfect peace of someone who has given their subconscious the command of healing and trusts the law completely to carry it out. I will awaken stronger. I will awaken freer. I will awaken as someone the law has been working on through the night. I am whole. I am strong. I am healed. And so it is. The law cannot fail. What has been impressed tonight will be expressed in your body, not because of who you are or what you deserve or how long you have suffered, but because the law is impartial and exact, and it has received your command. Your body heard you tonight, and it will obey. Do not let this be another thing you heard and then set aside. Do not let it join the long list of truths that passed through your awareness and left no permanent mark. Because that is the final test of everything, Dr. Joseph Murphy ever taught. Not whether you understood it, not whether it moved you in the moment of hearing it, but whether you carried it forward, whether you let it change the ordinary texture of your days, whether the words you heard tonight became the words you live by tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that, until they are no longer something you practice, but something you are. This is the difference between the people who experience the law as an occasional comfort and the people who experience it as a permanent transformation. The first group hears the truth and feels it deeply in the moment, and then returns to the old conversation the moment the feeling fades. The second group makes a decision, a quiet, unspectacular, deeply serious decision to never again speak the old language over their body. To never again hand their subconscious the blueprint of sickness and weakness and permanent defeat. To treat every casual thought about their health as a command that matters, because it does. Every single one. Dr. Murphy, in his final years of teaching, would often say that the most important moment in a person's healing journey is not the moment of dramatic breakthrough. It is the small, unremarkable moment, usually alone, usually unwitnessed, when a person feels the pull of the old pattern and chooses the new one instead. When pain rises and the familiar voice of despair begins to form its sentence and the person pauses and says, "No, not that," and speaks the law instead. That moment, repeated daily, repeated in the face of doubt and discomfort and the temptation to surrender, that moment is where transformation actually lives. Not in the inspiration, but in the choice. You have been given the inspiration tonight. Now comes the choice. And the choice is simpler than it might seem. It does not require you to feel certain. It does not require you to feel the full force of faith on every occasion. It does not require the absence of doubt or the constant presence of elevated emotion. It requires only that you choose the new command over the old one, again and again and again, with the patient persistence of someone who understands that they are working with a law as reliable as the law of gravity. A law that does not require your confidence to operate, only your cooperation. There was one final case that Murphy shared that speaks to this more directly than any other. A man in his late 50s who had spent the better part of 2 decades in chronic pain. He had heard Murphy speak. He had read everything Murphy had written. He understood the law intellectually with great clarity and sophistication. He could explain it to others with precision and even occasional brilliance, but his body had not healed. And he came to Murphy frustrated and confused and carrying the particular bitterness of someone who feels they have done everything right and still been denied the result. Murphy listened to him explain his practice, the affirmations spoken faithfully, the visualizations attempted with genuine effort, the readings and the study and the sincere desire for healing. And then Murphy asked him one question. He said, "When you speak your affirmation in the morning, what do you feel in the moment just after you finish speaking it?" The man was quiet for a long time. Then he said honestly, "Relief that it is done, and then a kind of waiting, a watching to see if anything will change. A monitoring of the symptoms to check whether the words are working. Murphy nodded. "There it is," he said. "There is the place where the law is being interrupted. You are planting the seed and then immediately standing over the ground watching for the sprout. And in that watching, in that monitoring, in that anxious checking of symptoms against the hoped for result, you are impressing the subconscious not with faith but with doubt. Not with certainty but with the very uncertainty you are trying to overcome. The affirmation says I am healed, but the watching says I am not sure. And the subconscious receives both impressions and is caught between them. The law cannot move with full force through a divided impression. The man sat with this for a long time. Then he asked, "What should I do instead?" Murphy said, "Plant the seed and walk away. Speak your affirmation with full feeling and full conviction, and then release it. Do not check the symptoms immediately after. Do not monitor your body for evidence that the words are working. Simply trust the law the way you trust the sun to rise. You do not go outside every hour through the night to check whether morning is coming. You trust it, you sleep in the certainty of it. Do the same with the law, speak the decree, feel it fully, and then release it to the subconscious with the calm confidence of someone who has handed an instruction to a faithful servant and has no doubt it will be carried out." The man went home and he changed one thing, just one. He stopped monitoring, he stopped checking. He spoke his affirmations with the same words he had always used, but now when he finished he simply let go. He turned his attention elsewhere. He trusted. And within weeks something shifted in his body that years of anxious practice had failed to produce. Not because the words had changed, not because the practice had become more elaborate, but because the impression had finally become clean and whole and undivided. Faith without the shadow of monitoring, command without the undertow of doubt, and the subconscious, receiving a clear and unobstructed impression for the first time, responded with a clarity and a force that astonished him. This is the final lesson. Trust the law enough to let it work without your supervision. You have done your part when you have spoken the decree with feeling and persistence. The subconscious does not need you to watch over it. It does not need your anxious attention to function. It needs only your clear command and your willingness to step back and allow the process to unfold according to its own deeper timing. Plant and release. Speak and trust. Impress and let go, because the subconscious is working even when you cannot feel it working. The healing is underway even when the symptoms have not yet shifted. The seed is growing even when the ground above it looks undisturbed. This is the nature of the law. This is the nature of all genuine growth. It happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible above it. And the person who digs up the seed to check its progress is the person who never sees the harvest. Do not dig up the seed. Speak your decree tonight with everything you have, with your voice and your feeling and your imagination and your genuine expectancy. Hand the command to your subconscious with the full weight of your conviction, and then release it. Sleep in the trust of it. Wake in the confidence of it. Move through your day in the settled certainty of someone who has given the law a command and knows without question that the law will honor it. You do not need to be loud about this. You do not need to announce it to anyone. The most powerful healing work that has ever happened in any human life has happened quietly, in the moments before sleep, in the early morning stillness before the world intrudes, in the private, sacred space between a person and their own subconscious mind where no one else has access and no one else's opinion carries any weight. That space is yours entirely. What you do with it is entirely up to you, and what you do with it will be expressed without fail in your body. Dr. Joseph Murphy's entire life's work can be distilled into this. You are not the victim of your body. You are its author. Every condition your body carries is a sentence you have written, consciously or unconsciously, in the language of the subconscious. And because you wrote it, you can rewrite it, not by fighting what is there, not by hating the pain or resenting the illness or cursing the body that carries it, but by picking up the pen and writing something new, something true, something aligned with the infinite healing intelligence that has been present within you since the first breath you drew and will be present within you until the last. That intelligence does not know disease as a permanent state. It does not recognize hopelessness as a valid diagnosis. It knows only the direction of life, of growth, of restoration, of the constant movement toward wholeness that is the nature of all living things when the obstructions are removed. You are a living thing, wholeness is your nature, and the subconscious, once given the clear and persistent command to express that nature, will do so with a faithfulness and a precision that will leave you not confused or surprised, but quietly and deeply grateful for the law that was always there waiting for you to use it. Speak this now as your final decree for tonight. Speak it as the last word you give your subconscious before this moment closes and the ordinary hours resume. Speak it not as the end of something, but as the beginning of the daily practice that will carry you from where you are to where you are going. I am the expression of divine life and divine health. Every cell of my body vibrates with the healing intelligence that created me and sustains me. I release every old command of sickness and weakness and pain. I withdraw every decree of hopelessness I have ever spoken over myself. In their place I establish this law. I am whole. I am strong. I am free. My body responds to this truth now and every day from this moment forward. The healing presence of God moves through me without obstruction, without limitation, without the possibility of failure. I trust the law completely. I release the result confidently. I sleep in peace, knowing the subconscious is working. I wake in strength, knowing the law has honored my command. I move through my days as someone whose body is being restored to its natural wholeness by a power greater than any symptom, greater than any diagnosis, greater than any history of suffering I have ever known. I am not what the pain says I am what the law says I am. I am whole. I am strong. I am healed. And so it is, and so it must be, for the law is faithful, the law is exact. The law is without exception. What has been impressed will be expressed. And tonight, in the quiet, faithful chambers of your subconscious mind, the impression of healing has been made. Your body heard every word, the law received every command, and the healing that you have been waiting for has already begun.